All right.
Sounds great. And so I just confirming you can see my slides.
Yes. Perfect.
Amazing. Okay, thank you. So thank you to OPAC and thank you for joining today. I'd love to just give a little introduction of me and an overview of Kindred and then talk about some of the programs that we are working on. Please feel free to interrupt if you have any questions. Happy to answer as we go. Also, happy to answer any questions at the end. So just to give a little background on me, um, I am very thankful to be the mom of three amazing young men. The young man in the middle in the red hat is Nate, and he is my three-time cancer survivor. The other two boys, the young man in his gray sweatshirt, that's Alex, and he's my 15-year-old, and Jonathan is my 12-year-old. So you can see his two younger brothers. Nate is the oldest in the family. Um, Nate in 2009 was diagnosed with stage 4 high-risk neuroblastoma cancer. And at that time, we had didn't know anyone who had a child with cancer. We had never heard the word neuroblastoma before. And this was a complete and utter shock in our world, as I have certainly heard many other parents describe. Nate went through about a year and a half of pretty intensive treatment. And then when he was about a week away from finishing therapy, we were given the news again that he had cancer and it had relapsed, but this one was a relapse in his brain. Um, that led us to a very complicated set of circumstances because we were told that we would be lucky if we had a few months left with him because of that type of relapse. So that was something we didn't accept. We knew about a clinical trial in the US that had excellent peer-reviewed published data behind it that was showing some really great survival rates for these kids. And so we fought very hard to get him into the clinical trial. So Nate was being treated at Sick Kids at the time, and they were amazing at being able to start treatment there in the trial. And then we spent the next 3.5 years going back and forth to New York City um, so he was from his first diagnosis to the end of his relapse therapy was in treatment for 5 years without any breaks, and then finally in remission. And then you can see in that far sort of bottom left picture, that was in 2021. We were told for the third time that Nate had cancer and he had thyroid cancer. And that was really cancer as a direct result of all the treatment that he'd had as a child. Um, so Nate, as you can see in that middle picture, that this was earlier this year. He ran and completed the Sporting Life 10K for Campfire Circle, which is actually where he is right now. Um, and that was a huge accomplishment for him because his everyday is not like his brother's everyday. He deals with a whole host of long-term side effects from all the treatment that he's received. And you can even just see by his height, he has idiopathic short stature from all of the radiation to the spine and other places on his body that he's had. And he has lots of bone deformations, dental deformations, hearing loss, one kidney, organ damage, multiple organ damage. The list goes on, but we feel very, very blessed for what we've been given. And he's a remarkable young man who's on the honor roll and thinking about college and university. So we're incredibly, incredibly lucky. So that's a bit of my background where I come to this world. And so he changed everything for me, for our family. These three guys are my inspiration, but Nate has certainly changed everything and was very Lucky to also come into the role of executive director at Kindred Foundation about 3.5 years ago, and would certainly love to share a bit about Kindred as well as some of the programs that we have and the work that we do. So at Kindred, we really focus on trying to do charity differently. It was started as a private foundation and started as an endowment fund. So because of that initial investment, that investment covers the cost of the foundation from an administrative perspective, which means that 100% of our receipted donations go towards our charitable purpose, go towards supporting charities in the areas that we work in, as well as the programs that we run. Our endowment fund is expertly designed and managed. Most of our giving comes from stock giving. So traditionally, charities often, when they're donated stock, they take the stock, they sell the stock so that they can have the cash to be able to use towards their operations. We often hold the stock and continue to trade on the stock so we can gain additional funds and revenue from that holding and build that back into our endowment fund. We then give the proceeds from our endowment fund each year. We fully believe that there is no competition in charity and there should not be competition in charity, and that when we work together, we can do more together. So you'll see in the slides that are to come that there we put a great amount of focus on partnerships and collaboration in almost all of the things that we do, and where we don't have that, we are actively seeking that right now. And we have a really strong commitment to low overhead and administrative costs to make sure we're running effectively and efficiently. Um, Within Kindred, we are a foundation, so we have a slightly wider mandate, which allows us to focus in on different areas. The three areas that we're focused on we call our three pillars of support. The first pillar is childhood cancer research and programs. The second is youth mental and physical health. And the third is community support. And I'll talk a little bit about each of them, focusing on the first one for our talk today. But we are really trying to tackle some tough challenges, and we don't expect these to be easy, but we're not going to run from them. So we really focus on learning from every step, every investment, every partnership. This is just a snapshot of where we are as a foundation. So you can see at the end of 2023, our endowment was valued at about 12 million. And with that, what I wanted to share was that CRA and they require that the disbursement quota for charities is 5% of your assets. We typically provide either 10% or more on a yearly basis, which is something we're really proud of. So we're hoping by the end of this year, we'll actually reach about the $3 million mark of giving since 2019. So we're going to spend probably the most time talking about the childhood cancer research and programs at Kindred. And the first program I'd love to share about is our Treats and Treasures cart. This is the very first program that we started at Kindred, and it's one that we run in partnership with the Evan Foundation that's in the US. The Treats and Treasures cart is something that was created in memory and in honor of Evan, who passed away from neuroblastoma. The cart, as you can see in the picture, is exactly it's by its name. It's a medical grade custom designed cart that's on wheels, that's with multiple drawers, and it is fully stocked with games, toys, healthy snacks, treats, and lots of candy. And the cart is taken around by Child Life once a week to the inpatient hematology oncology wards, and also available in the outpatient clinics on a daily basis. So the cart is for everyone. It is for the child in treatment, for siblings, parents, grandparents, who's ever with the child. And in fact, it's also there for the staff. So if someone needs something just to make their day a little bit brighter, because the days can be really tough, I've always say to the nurses and the doctors to take something off the cart too, to bring a little joy to that moment. And everything in the cart is free. So we provide a stipend to the hospital to make sure that the cart is fully stocked year round. You can see we are in now 8 hospitals across Canada. The largest number of hospitals in Western Canada at Jim Pattison Children's Hospital. We actually have the cart is for the entire hospital, which is amazing. The cart at Surrey Memorial Hospital is in partnership with the Team Finn Foundation, and that one is also for all of pediatrics and for their clinic, which is great. And we just launched our first cart in Ontario at South Lake Regional Health Centre, which we are extremely proud of. So if you think that this would be a great addition to your hospital, please reach out to your child life team, because typically the child life specialists that run the cart and run the program at their hospitals, please reach out to them. Please suggest that the cart should be there. We'd love to see the cart in more hospitals across Canada. The next one I'm going to spend a little bit extra time on is our ULink Patient and Family Fund. Our ULink Patient and Family Fund is designed and run in partnership with Phoebe Rose Rocks, who is part of Kindred Foundation. The fund provides financial support to families who have to travel to access a clinical trial for their child or for a young adult with cancer. The fund is there to assist with costs of travel, accommodation, and other out-of-pocket expenses like over-the-counter medications or even prescription medications, food, and so much more. The program is run in conjunction with ULink, which provides access to pediatric oncology clinical trial information, a lot like clinicaltrials.gov, but they're all trials which are run in Canada. So in terms of the fund's eligibility, the child or the young adult must be enrolled on or following a clinical trial and meeting all the eligibility requirements of that trial. It's not limited by cancer type, and we do include families who have a child if it's a young adult with a cancer predisposition syndrome. We ask that the individual be 29 years of age or under, that they live in Canada, and there are no income requirements. We don't ask anything about your income level. The travel requirements are that you're traveling 150 kilometers or more to access care through the trial. And certainly we do have situations where we have exceptions to this, where they might be a slightly shorter distance, but there's just a really high financial need. And the travel can be within the province to another province or to the US. So we hope that this fund wouldn't be the family's only source of financial support that you're looking for from other charities, and that there is attempts made to access things like Ronald McDonald House and Hope Air. There's Alex's Lemonade Stand, and if going to Sick Kids, they have the new Step 1 program. But this fund really acts in partnership, and it's really quite complementary to those other programs. Like, for example, with Step 1 and with Alex's Lemonade Stand, often what they do, if approved, the expenses are paid direct to the business, so direct to the airline, direct to the hotel, whereas we reimburse direct to the family. So we're able to pay and help support on costs, which are more of those out-of-pocket expenses, but expenses which really, really add up over the amount of time that a child is in treatment. So we do hope that families are accessing these funds from other places, and we don't ask if families have been able to access funds like from Step 1 or Alex's Lemonade Stand, because we certainly know from personal experience that the costs of all of these things are much higher than what any of these funds would be able to support. And support is provided for the patient and for one caregiver. So for the application, it can be submitted on our website. It can be submitted prior to enrolling on the clinical trial, when the enrollment is complete, or even after the therapy is done. Receipts are submitted directly to me, and then we reimburse based on those receipts. Does not for second opinions or not expenses related to travel or visits from other family members, but is really about being able to support on some of the expenses of getting the child to treatment to access care. And patients can apply to the fund on a yearly basis. So in terms of just a little bit about the process, when the application comes in, I verify the application with a member of the child's care team just to make sure that it is a legitimate application. If everything is good, then I let the family know that all they need to do is provide me with just pictures or electronic copies of the receipts that are associated with traveling for care. And then I provide a summary of those receipts to our ULink Patient and Family Fund Committee. And if approved, the family is typically provided with an e-transfer within 5 business days or less. Oftentimes from the time that the committee receives the information to the e-transfer is somewhere on average around 3 days. We try and be able to reimburse on those expenses as quickly as possible. We are supporting families up to about $2,000 for the first year, and in subsequent applications, about $1,000 a year. So we're able to support fairly a significant level for those expenses. And for more information, I've provided some links here, and you can just go to the Kindred Foundation website. The ULink Fund page has the actual application on it. The family can fill out the application, the social worker, a navigator. It's not restricted in terms of who fills out the application because we do all the verification steps. The ULink website also has a number of other financial resources and supports for families, and that's a list that we maintain that's on the ULink site. So there's lots of other supports there and charitable programs that you could take a look at if you haven't found that one already. And then the ulink.care URL, which will take you to the listing of the pediatric and young adult oncology clinical trials that are running across Canada. Another program that we run is called our Family Support Package Program. And this program is also run in partnership with Phoebe Rose Rocks. And just a couple of months ago, it's also started our new partnership too with Tally's Fund, who's helping to fund this program with Kindred. So the Family Support Package provides $350 in gift cards to families who must travel to access care and or who are financially challenged. You can see in this picture here, this is one of our packages. You might have a gas card, a Visa card, Amazon card, grocery card. The cards are all customized per the hospital and what works best for the hospital, so that they might look a little different in different places. And really, it's about assisting with some of the costs and being able to help in a moment of need. They're given out by the social workers, and the social workers at the hospitals provide them direct to the family. And this is a program that's currently being run at Sick Kids, CHEO, IWK, Cancer Care Manitoba, and we're soon to launch at Jim Pattison Children's Hospital. So this is our first year with the program and have provided 77 packages to families across Canada. And again, if this is something that you think would be really valuable at your hospital, please reach out to your social worker and let them know about this program. And I thought I could give a little bit of an update on what we've been doing in terms of funding research. This is a project that we initiated and created the grant for. The grant is called Decrypt, Defeating Embryonal Cancer in Young People Together. We had the organizations of Phoebe Rose Rocks, the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada, Miyoko Marnie, Childhood Cancer, and Tally's Fund all come together and raise $300,000. And then amazingly, the Cancer Research Society came and matched what we raised to create a $600,000 grant, a 4-year grant focused on pediatric embryonal brain tumor research. So we held a grant competition and then had the applications expert and peer reviewed. And Dr. Annie Wang from Sick Kids and her team were awarded the grant for a project called Baby Brains Trial for children under 6 years old with high-risk embryonal brain tumors. So we're really excited to see what comes of this research. We're also a funder in the Action Consortium, which is advancing clinical trial implementation and optimization in neuroblastoma. And this is with Solomon Kids Cancer UK and US, Zoe for Life, Anti-Cancer Fund, and the Evan Foundation. This is a very ambitious international research grant. It's a $2.7 million grant, and we're funding $600,000 of this. What this funding is doing is will guarantee that the clinical trial will open here in Canada. Without this funding, it's highly unlikely that Canadian children would have had access to this trial. We've funded 3 different projects with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of Canada from 2022 to this year. We co-funded 2 of their pediatric blood cancer research innovation grants, one for ALL and one for AML. And then this year, in partnership with the Kindred family and in memory of their son, Bo, we have co-funded another pediatric blood cancer research and innovation grant, and that was just awarded to Dr. Grace Egan at the Hospital for Sick Children, and that's focused on AML. And very special that that's in memory of Bo. We also fund one of the Pediatric Cancer Resource Navigator positions at Sick Kids. And I hope many of you know both Lisa and Megan and the amazing work that they do. All right, so that's an overview of many of the things that we do in the childhood cancer space and also young adult cancer space in our programs. What I'd like to do is just give a quick overview of our other 2 pillars, and then we'll go into sort of what's next on the horizon for Kindred. So our second pillar is our youth mental and physical health. With that one, the biggest part of this pillar is our youth mental health grant. And with that, we provide support at $150,000 per year to Canadian grassroots organizations that are focused on supporting youth mental health and providing direct mental health care for 2 youth communities, for the Black youth community and the 2S LGBTQ plus youth community. And this uses recognizing that we are not members of these 2 youth communities, that we should not be the ones making decisions on how this funding is allocated. We've partnered with the Black Health Alliance and It Gets Better Canada and are utilizing a community-driven decision-making model for this grant. These 2 organizations have been absolutely fundamental in helping us design the grant, the processes around the grant, and are the decision makers on the grant review process. So they decide how the funding is allocated within their 2 communities. And we have supported 17 different initiatives since 2022. And just this year supported our first organizations in Northwest Territories in Quebec, which we're pretty proud of. We also fund a number of scholarships, and this is part of partnerships with some different organizations like the Black Education Fund and Adventure for Change, and are now supporting 20 different students in 2024. And our community support pillar, our third pillar, our biggest initiative within this pillar is our Kindred Cares grant. And our Kindred Cares grant provides funding for hospice, palliative care, end-of-life care for adults right now focused within Ontario, but for palliative care projects, research initiatives, or operations at a national level. We are very proud of this because there are not many grants which are focused within palliative care and specifically within pediatric palliative care. Since the grant started in 2021, we've supported 17 different programs. For the most part, a lot of them are grief programming, Government funding is typically only provided for the actual medical costs, often at around 50 to 70% of the actual hospice operations. So things like grief support need to be entirely funded by philanthropic dollars. As an example, one of the projects that we funded was with Dr. Shandy Alexander at Sick Kids, who has created a virtual reality system for youth, for adolescents within the pediatric advanced care team's care. And it allows those youth who often are not able to get out of bed an opportunity to interact with peers and with friends in a virtual environment. They have custom avatars which are created for them. And they're able to have access peer support as well as expert guided support in that virtual world. So pretty special work happening there. We're also the lead charitable funder of Childhood Cancer Canada's Benevolent Fund that provides $1,500 towards funeral and celebration of life costs. So with that, we're very thankful for this program that they run. And we've been able to help about more than 30 families each year, and 60 families access the fund on a yearly basis. The fund is typically accessed by the social worker. So we're very thankful to be able to help with this program. So that's an overview of many of the things that we're working on. And what I thought we could do is just mention briefly about some of the work that we have coming up. So, with our goals, we're working on allocating almost $1 million this year to Kindred Foundation programs and charitable partners. And also deepening our partnerships with hoping to build partnerships for our 2 grants to be able to fund more initiatives there. And we have a great corporate partnership with the organization called CMLS Financial, which is a mortgage, residential and commercial mortgage company. And I mention that because, we've been graciously donated office space in downtown Toronto. We work really closely with them on a number of initiatives. And one that we are working on, a new one right now, which I wanted to share very early information on, is a housing support program for childhood cancer families. So this is very new. It has not launched yet. We're hoping to launch it as a pilot within the next few weeks. And it will first launch at Sick Kids with the goal of being able to get the program running, making sure that it is working really well, and then rolling the program out across Canada. So this will be for families who have a child in active cancer treatment. The program will provide debt management support, personal financial consulting, and mortgage counseling from our partners at CMLS Financial and from licensed trustees from an organization called Hoyes, McCallos and Associates. And providing that support will then lead to support from Kindred Foundation, where we, for families in financial need, we're hoping to support up to $5,000 per family to be able to pay rental or mortgage costs. So the goal is to keep families in their homes while their child is in cancer treatment. We have been hearing from social workers across Canada that families are really struggling with the cost of living, struggling with mortgages, struggling with not knowing what to do at mortgage renewal. There's been lots of articles in the newspaper lately about the wave of mortgage renewals that are coming and the challenges that will face families. So the goal is to help families in a really multifaceted way and in a long-term way, and also to be able to support on mortgage and rental payments to help with relieving some of the challenge and the financial challenge that families are facing when it comes to their home, and that they need to be in their home and do not need to be worrying about what that looks like when they have a child in cancer treatment. So we're really excited about this program. We're excited for what it can do and how it can help families directly. And I hope that we'll be able to come back and share more information about this program at another time. And one thing I wanted to mention is we are working on creating a childhood, adolescent, and young adult cancer advisory committee. We would love to have parents, caregivers, survivors, if you're at all interested, to help guide us, to keep us on the right track, to make sure that we're doing the right things that families need. If you are interested in something like this, again, this is also very early in its development, but please reach out to me. I would love to be able to create this committee, which will help us make decisions in the right way. And if you're in Ottawa, we're having an event called Cocktails for Kindred. This will actually go and be supporting our family support package program. We will have some great products there from Little Press Company and all their goldenware. If you're a family, just reach out to me about coming, and we'll make sure you can be there if you're in the Ottawa area. And that is everything. Happy to answer any questions about Kindred, about the programs that we have, anything that I shared here. And certainly would love to know too if there are things that you need help with now that organizations or charities might be overlooking, if there's some unmet need that we as charities can really be thinking about to help families in a way that you need now. So thank you very much. I'll stop sharing. Oh,
Thank you so much, Antonia. That was a really great presentation to learn about all these wonderful programs that you currently have and are planning for the future. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions for Antonia about their current programs, accessing those, or any ideas, like she just mentioned, any gaps that you would like help with, or that you've heard other families maybe mention that can be suggested? Just feel free to speak up or type them in the chat. Well, people think, Antonia, I did have a question about the family support package. How do you said it's at Sick Kids right now, and how do people go about accessing that if they're interested? Is it through your website? Do they apply?
I know those are all through the either social worker or the resource navigator. So if you are at Sick Kids and you need help, drop into the fishbowl and clinic, and they'll be able to help. And there are a number of different versions of the packages at Sick Kids. And they will certainly be able to, if available, be able to help you with one of those.
Okay, thank you. And the Treats and Treasures card, I'm glad to see it's coming to Ontario at South Lake. And you mentioned if people want to see them, like at Sick Kids or other treatment hospitals, it's their child life specialist they should maybe inquire about that or suggest.
Yeah, it's typically the child life team which is running the program. So that is really the best person to reach out to at your hospital if that's something you would like to see there. We are the Treats and Treasures card is very customizable in terms of how it operates within the hospital. There are some hospitals which just use it in the clinic. Some hospitals just use it in the inpatient setting, some in both. Some it's for all of pediatrics, some it's for like Jim Pattison for the entire hospital. So it's a very customizable program according to the need of the hospital. But absolutely, if that's something that you think would be really nice to have where you are, please let your child life specialist know about the program, and you're welcome to reach out to me too, and let me know that where you would also like it, because we would love to see the cart in as many hospitals as possible across Canada.
Yeah, definitely, we'd love to see that too. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, no? I just want to mention too about some of the needs that I could think of. Maybe Michelle's our parent liaison. She's on here too. I don't know, Michelle, I'm calling you out, but if you know of anything that you've heard of too from meeting families that there's unmet needs. I know in the past we've met families that need, for instance, medication costs that aren't covered by OHIP. Also, there was one family that reached out to us a little while ago. She was looking, it's kind of like a prosthetic, a medical prosthetic for her daughter who's a survivor and needs this to feel whole again. And she said it cost like, I think it was like $20,000 or something like that, custom made for her. And nobody, other than a GoFundMe, can fund something like that. Just things that I'm thinking about in the past that we've heard, medication, medical prosthetics, or equipment that's not covered by insurance or things like that too. That I know scholarships is always a big one. I know if there's already some organizations that do that, but you're looking at like adolescents and young adults committee that is always a big, need for our post-secondary survivors. What else? The mortgage, that's definitely the housing support. That's definitely something unique and very much needed, I think, as well. So things like that anyway. For the housing support, that's just starting, I know, but that's more information will be coming, I guess, on how families can access that in general.
Yeah, so that probably will be accessed a little differently in that it will for sick kids in particular, because that's a place where we're going to be starting that will be accessed through the Oncology Resource Navigator. And they will be the ones to actually submit the applications for the families. So this one, it will be structured a little differently than our other programs in that regard, but with the goal of being able to support families in a really well-rounded way. And for something that it's not just coming in and helping and then we're done. It would be something which would be from a whole host of different perspectives, from financial needs of family, whether it's mortgage and rent, looking at contracts and renewals, or how do you optimize your current mortgage or make any changes to it to be able to help. There's lots of really great knowledge around what can you do with your current mortgage provider to let them know about your situation, to be able to even provide and access support there. So we're going to try and help families from a really a sort of multifaceted approach when it comes to housing, to be able to give that type of support, which will be more longer term in nature. Because as I said, we don't want families to be in the situation where they are potentially having to move and make those really challenging decisions at a time when it's not the time to be making those decisions when their child is in active cancer treatment.
Michelle, you're on. Okay.
Hi, Michelle.
How are you? Thank you, Antonia, for doing this, for taking the time and presenting to our group. I was just to chime in, I think that is going to be a fantastic program. I think there's an absolute need for it. We're definitely hearing more and more the financial burdens that the families are feeling. Absolutely. And I think right now that's probably top priority for them, in terms of especially where their anxieties are coming from, right? And how much as you know, how much a diagnosis can change the entire family dynamic. And then how, a house can go from two working parents to one, and sometimes both, end up kind of being with the child the entire time for treatment. So I think that's a great program. I think it's going to do extremely well, and families are going to feel the benefits of that. In terms of the cart, which I think is great. So Sick Kids currently has a wellness cart. So is the potential to have two carts still something that could be a possibility? Because there is a wellness cart that is parked in clinic daily, and does go through just through the day clinic, but doesn't, and don't quote me, I don't know if it actually makes its way through inpatient ward yet.
Right. So I think we don't have any problem with there being two carts, and I think they're like our carts are different.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that would be the decision of sick kids.
Right.
We've
Okay.
we've absolutely we don't have any challenge with that. That would be completely up to sick kids, but absolutely that's possible.
Perfect. Perfect. That's great. Oh, that's great. I think it's all great.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And Antonia, if people have any questions, they should go on on your website. It's kindredfoundation.ca, right?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Or email me, Antonia at kindredfoundation.ca. Please reach out directly. Certainly happy to answer any questions, provide any more information. And if I don't have an answer, I will try and find one for you or direct you to other resources that I know about. So happy to help in many different ways.
Great.
Oh, and thank you, Michelle.
No, thank you.
If anybody has any questions for Antonia or the programs, look out on her website and on the website for Kindred Foundation. And also, if you think of anything unmet needs financially, especially that they can help with or support needs, let her know as they're developing all these great programs to keep that in mind. So if there's no more questions, OPAC, of course, we're also have our website, opacc.ca, and you can go on there and look at our programs, our parent liaison support programs, or weekly drop-ins virtually like this that they do every Tuesday evening at 7:30. And as well, they're at Sick Kids and Credit Valley Hospital. So if you have any questions, contact any of us. We're happy to help. That's what we're here for. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. And oh, there is one question. Rishan, for the housing support, is there a cap in the household income to qualify?
Yes, there will be for that program. And that is about being able to help families that are in significant financial need. So that will all be launched when we launch the program, and all those details about the eligibility requirements. But yes, thank you for asking that.
Thank you, Rishan. Last call for questions. Any questions? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Antonia, for this great presentation. This was recorded, so it'll be up on our YouTube channel probably by tomorrow. The recording link, I'll send it to you, Antonia, as well. And if you came in a little later, you missed the beginning of the presentation, you can catch up. And yeah, help spread the word about the Kindred Foundation, all their great programs as well. Thank you and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.